Aloha and welcome to This Is Now. First today, less than a week to go until Election Day, and both candidates are continuing to crisscross battleground states. Now, one day after delivering her closing argument speech in front of a massive crowd, Vice President Kamala Harris is playing cleanup following comments from President Biden.
Yeah, the president set off a firestorm with his response to remarks a comedian made about Puerto Rico during a Trump rally. Bree Jackson has the latest from Washington.
A battle to seal the deal with voters in battleground states.
Well, thank you very much, North Carolina. You are a special group of people.
We have just 6 days left in one of the most consequential elections of our lifetime.
Both candidates focusing on their closing message amid controversy. Former President Trump distancing himself from a comedian at his rally who called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage.
I don't want anybody making nasty jokes or stupid jokes.
When asked to weigh in on the comics comments, President Biden said this.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization is seen as unconscionable, and it's un-American.
Vice President Harris distancing herself from the president's remarks.
I strongly disagree with any criticism of people based on who they vote for.
The president clarifying his comments on social media, saying he was referring to the hateful rhetoric about Puerto Rico spewed. The White House stressing Mr. Biden was taking aim at the comic's words, not Mr. Trump's supporters. The former president pouncing on Biden's comment.
Remember Hillary? She said deplorable. That didn't work out. Garbage, I think, is worse, right? Please forgive him, for he not knoweth what he said.
All this comes as Americans make their voices heard.
What scares me is, again, possibly losing my reproductive rights, my right to an abortion.
I voted for Trump last time. I'm going to do it again. The economy sucks at this point.
Voters divided over issues and rhetoric. And today, the White House press secretary said that President Biden would attend the inauguration regardless of who wins, saying that Mr. Biden believes in the peaceful transfer of power, and that's what we'll see this president do. In Washington, Bree Jackson, NBC News.
Investigators say the man suspected of setting fires in ballot drop boxes in Oregon and Washington state is an experienced metal worker and may have been planning additional attacks. Authorities believe the man who set the incendiary devices at ballot boxes in Portland and nearby Vancouver, Washington, had a wealth of experience in metal fabrication and welding. The suspect is described as a white man, aged 30 to 40, who is balding or has very short hair. And now to the topic that most voters across the nation say is top of mind this election season, the economy, which according to a new report from the Commerce Department says that it is growing and consumers are spending. Meanwhile, inflation is cooling.
The economy is the number one issue for voters in recent polls. The most common concern, higher prices.
When we get the final bill, it's like sometimes it's stick a shock.
Inflation is it's getting the best of a lot of us.
But new data from the U.S. Commerce Department finds what consumers are feeling has not impacted how they're spending. The economy grew 2.8% over the summer, thanks in large part to Americans opening up their wallets.
And what's funny about that is you think about every single poll that says, I feel lousy about prices and the economy. And yet, in this report, we learned that consumers spent at an annualized pace of 3.7%.
CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger says robust consumer spending, despite higher prices, is likely what has kept the U.S. out of a recession.
It looks like we're getting this so-called soft landing. High inflation met with higher interest rates without causing the economy to crater.
The report also found more signs of cooling inflation. September data on inflation and spending drops Thursday, then Friday, October data on wages and employment. Employers are expected to have hired 120,000 workers. But recent hurricanes and the East Coast port strike might drag those numbers down. The Federal Reserve will consider all of it when it meets next week. Economists expect they'll cut interest rates 0.25 percentage point and may do it again in December. Danya Backus, CBS News.
With the holiday travel season less than a month away, airlines now have a new way of handling compensation for canceled or significant delayed flights. Under the new policy, airlines must provide a cash refund to passengers within a week if their domestic flight is delayed by 3 hours or more, or 6 hours or more on an international flight. But that's only if the passenger does not accept alternate travel options. The refund policy also covers a change to your arrival or departure airport or added connections.
When an airline knows that all, instead of just a few, of the passengers on a canceled flight are likely to actually get their money back, it gives them a different set of reasons to put in the investment and the realistic scheduling that makes those cancellations less likely to happen to begin with.
The trade group representing U.S. Airlines tells CBS News its members support the automatic refund rule and are happy to accommodate customers with a refund when they choose not to be rebooked. Back here at home, prosecutors have declined to file an attempted murder charge against the suspect after an officer-involved shooting at Kuhio Park Terrace. Instead, they added more charges against 47-year-old Blaine Apostadiro, including first-degree terroristic threatening, reckless endangering, and possession of a firearm. This all ties back to an incident early Sunday morning when HPD tracked down a stolen vehicle to KPT. Police say Apostadiro shot at 2 officers as he tried to run away. They returned fire and he was seriously wounded. His bail is set at $1 million. We're also getting a first look at a man who police say intentionally rammed his car into an e-bike rider twice in Manoa. Police say Keola Castillo struck the 27-year-old victim last Wednesday at Sherwood Forest Park and then again on Kalaniano Ole Highway. The victim suffered minor injuries. Castillo is charged with second-degree assault.
Another round of layoffs is coming to the Honolulu Star Advertiser. The publisher confirms 13 employees are being laid off. According to the union, it includes the last 2 photographers at the paper and a longtime feature reporter. It comes 7 months after the paper was purchased by Carpenter Media Group.
I had just finished an assignment at the Outrigger. I get a call, and he told me, "Craig, I have some bad news."
I just don't see how that rewards our readers by giving them less and asking us to work with less. Because you never do more with less, you do less with less.
In a statement, the paper's publisher, Oahu Publications, said the cuts are meant to strengthen the company's financial future so that it can continue to serve Hawaii. CEO Dennis Francis said while job loss decisions are always difficult to make, the evolution of newspaper journalism has hit everyone in the industry hard. The owner of a Kauai property says he's been getting online threats after the discovery of ancestral remains put construction on hold. Now, the descendants of those burials want the community to come together to protect the iwi kupuna. Mahealani Richardson has the latest.
In Wainiha near Hanalei, video from this Oneone Road property called Hale Makai Cottages shows where construction is at a standstill, and orange flags mark the areas of iwi kupuna, ancestral remains. At least 6 iwi kupuna were discovered during a cesspool conversion project. Megan Wong is a cultural descendant of the Naue burials.
That area is completely dug up, and there's sand piles. We're finding bone fragments all over that area. So we're not sure where the bones have come from at this point. It just feels like a crime scene and you don't know how to put it back together.
Desecrating and they're allowing the profit over our kupuna iwi.
Kauai Police Department arrested 3 people, including Wong, after KPD said reports that several people had been on site for 4 days.
We are asking for the law to protect the descendants to practice their cultural rights. And some of those cultural rights are to enter and to visit iwi kupuna and to do ceremony.
Last week, the State Department of Health issued this stop work order so the State Historic Preservation Division can initiate and complete their investigation. In a statement to Hawaii News Now, the property owner, Chris Araguen, says he and his family have been the target of online misinformation and threats. He says they were instructed by DOH to upgrade from cesspools to septic tanks and followed state and county protocols. Quote, "We recognize that people have questions questions with the process and procedures as directed by DOH and SHPD, but abuse and threats toward anybody is not an acceptable reaction. The Native Hawaiian Legal Corporation is now involved with the case.
The government heard the cries of descendants, heard that there were concerns sufficient enough that it was appropriate to just pause the work. Were all these processes followed because the descendants and community were very much aware that there's burials here. And so that's really the outcry.
In the meantime, Wong says the owner is not on Kauai, and she's encouraging kapualoha as the community is searching for a peaceful resolution. Now, there is a community meeting next Monday. It's from 4:30 to 7 p.m. at the Waipa Foundation. Mahealani Richardson, Hawaii News Now.
Lawmakers are considering charging companies or officials with a crime for negligently causing a fire. They were briefed Tuesday on the second phase of the Attorney General's investigation into the Lahaina disaster. They asked when the governor will provide a comprehensive prevention plan and why no one was criminally prosecuted for negligence.
I will tell you that from my investigation, there was no conduct that I concluded was criminal or should have required criminal investigation.
Constituents keep calling me, what about the criminal? I want someone to go to jail because they did this or they did that. That's not
correct
happening.
And we don't have crimes that could be charged.
Okay.
Lawmakers say they're waiting for the governor's wildfire prevention and fire safety education plan. Today marks the 20th anniversary of a damaging flash flood at UH Manoa. 10 inches of rain caused the Manoa stream to overflow. A torrent of mud, water, and debris damaged 30 buildings, including Hamilton Library and the Biomedical Sciences Building. It caused about $80 million in damage. An associate professor recalls teaching a class that night.
And the flood happened, it seemed really all very sudden. The stream water was coming in really quickly, and we were getting on tables, and one of the students luckily broke one of the windows here, because that was the only way that we would have been able to get out.
The historic flood prompted changes to campus preparedness. When flood alerts are issued, sandbags are placed around at-risk buildings, and all research projects are now located on the second floor.
And it is Wednesday, which means it's time for our weekly crime roundup. Joining us is HPD Sergeant Chris Kim for a look at 3 more cases in the community this week.
The first case is unauthorized entry to motor vehicle in the first degree that happened in the area on Tuesday, October 8, 2024, about 2:37 a.m. These 2 males entered the complainant's vehicle, which is unlocked over on a Holoai Street, removed the garage remote, then opened the garage and then stole basically a bunch of property. Both suspects are being described as unknown. They fled in the silver hatchback. Just word to the wise out there, just once again, always lock and secure your vehicles, especially if it's in your driveway or carport. You can see easily how they got into the vehicle, then got into the garage. Our second case is a theft in the second degree on Monday, September 16, 2024, at about 3:40 p.m. These 2 females entered a retail establishment over in the Aya area, then stole property and fled. Both suspects are being described as unknown females. They fled in a black SUV, unknown license plate. I don't want to mention the store's name, but I think by looking at it, you can kind of tell where it is. And finally, our last case of robbery in the first degree on Friday, October 4, 2024, about 3:05 p.m. The victim was walking home from school next to Farrington High School off of Linapuni Street when he was confronted by 3 males. One of them brandished a firearm and stole his property. All 3 suspects are being described as unknown. We were able to get a partial video of suspect number 1, who's being described as unknown Micronesian male between 18 to 20 years old. All 3 cases we talked about today can be seen over at the www.honup.org website, bottom left-hand corner under wanted persons.
All right, Sergeant Chris Kim, thanks for being with us as always. And let's take a live look outside. This is the nation's capital. Beautiful fall colors there as we look at the White House. And a reminder that Election Day is next Tuesday. We're going to have your forecast with Guy Hagi after this quick break.
How's it on this Wednesday? We've got some really nice weather today. There are a few showers to start the day. You can see them favoring windward sides, but the rain is moving along quickly, so flooding not really going to be an issue, although we might have some brief downpours. And these winds, they're helping to keep the rainfall totals on the low side because they're really pushing the showers through rather quickly. It's going to be quite a windy day today, running about 15 to 25 miles an hour. Overall, though, still should be a pretty nice day, but keep in mind, starting tonight, we'll see an increase in those windward and Mauka showers. Going to be a little soggier for Thursday and Friday before drier conditions move in over the weekend. And the surf's on the way down. Although it's still elevated for east shores, that's because of that wind swell. Keep in mind, we've got a significant swell coming in over the weekend for north and west shores. Things are looking good for the HIC Sunset Pearl. Should be beginning to start on Saturday. So for Halloween, going to be a little soggy out there, especially for those windward areas. And those showers will continue through Friday. We'll still see some leeward sunshine, and then much drier conditions take over for the weekend.
In today's news from the feeds, an old U.S. Navy ship that flips at sea is being saved from the scrapyard and turned into a futuristic ocean lab. The transformation is taking place in Europe. CBS's Tina Kraus reports from London.
This unique Navy ship from the 1960s lives up to its name. Flip can do something few others can.
So Flip is able to transition from horizontal to vertical in about half an hour, and the reverse at sea.
Half ship, half submarine, the vessel spent more than 50 years exploring oceans before being decommissioned last year. It was destined for dismantling until a design company called Deep saved it.
We literally save from death this amazing piece of history.
Now the ship is set for a modern makeover in France, where it will be turned into a rotating research ship fitted with state-of-the-art technology. The vessel is more than 350 feet long and can vertically sink nearly 300 feet of its hull.
We're really excited to see her come and work here, but we want to ensure that she can operate safely with a global footprint, so she can go anywhere in the world.
Deep is creating a new era of underwater living spaces where researchers can stay for nearly a month at a time. Scientists say its futuristic facelift will allow new generations of oceanographers to better understand the mysteries of the sea. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
Navigating the real estate market can be scary enough for potential buyers and sellers. A so-called stigmatized property can make the process even more complex. But some home buyers may see added opportunities in this. Karen Kefa has more.
It is the season for haunted houses and scary stories, but that's not so entertaining when you are making the major financial investment into a new home. Real estate experts say there are ways to avoid scary surprises.
Home buying is an expensive endeavor.
It is arguably the greatest financial decision that you'll make. And so I think it's important to know absolutely everything about that property.
And a home's spooky reputation can impact a deal. The National Association of Realtors says stigmatized properties have been psychologically impacted by events like murder, alleged hauntings, or a notorious previous owner with no real physical impact. Depending on state laws, agents may be obligated to disclose a home's history. But Cindy Hagley, a real estate agent in the California Bay Area, says the honesty is just good practice.
If you don't disclose that to the potential buyer, somebody else is going to disclose it, or even worse, they'll find out about it themselves. And you never want surprises.
Albert Armieri is co-founder of HouseCreep.com, which crowdsources information on stigmatized properties that may not pop up in a home buyer's research of official disclosures.
This speaks to the importance of doing your research and having resources available to help in that journey. Bankrate
says that buyers willing to overlook a stigma may get a better deal, but downsides could include unwanted visitors to a home with a haunted reputation or high-profile crime history, and resale could be difficult later. Hagley says ultimately buyers need to weigh all the qualities that meet the eye and maybe some that don't.
If you love the neighborhood and you love the home, but you're afraid of a ghost or anything that may or may not be in there, don't buy it.
And some of those qualities will be subjective. That includes stories of paranormal activity. Rocket Home says to consider more practical explanations for things like strange noises or drafts before getting into buying and selling. In Washington, I'm Karen Kefa.
forget to vote for your favorite finalists in the This Is Now Halloween costume contest. Head to H&N's Instagram page and like your favorite costumes. The 3 finalists with the most likes by tomorrow at 11 a.m. will be our winners. They'll each receive a $100 gift card to one of our featured restaurants. The winners will be announced live on our Halloween show tomorrow. There's a major pickleball event this weekend at the Hawaii Convention Center. Players are gearing up for 3 days of tournament play and much more. Casey Lund has all the details.
Aloha from Wilson Community Park. We're here because the Convention Center is still getting set up for this massive pickleball event. Last check, I looked online, more than 600 people signed up for this tournament, but it's much more than that. I'm with Danny Tengon from the Oahu Pickleball Association. We're going to play here in a moment, but first, tell me a little bit about what's happening this weekend.
All right, Casey. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, Exhibition Hall 1 at the Honolulu Convention Center. We're going to have pickleball tournament. Like you said, over 600 entrants. We have ages from 14, and I think I saw the oldest was at 76 years old.
And that's what we love about this sport. We're going to get going. We've got our friends here, a lot of them from the Oahu Pickleball Association. We've even got Mr. Dill in the background here, keeping us on a set. I want to talk about this event a little bit more, but first of all, explain what we're playing here. This is kind of dink. It's like pickleball, but we've shrunk into court, right?
Yes. It's a dink game. Play inside the no volley line.
So this is a great way to warm up. It's also a great way for beginners, and I think one of the things that you do is work with a lot of beginners. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do? You put on courses, correct?
Yes, I work part-time for Parks and Rec, and I teach on the east side. I teach about 14 classes. We have grandmothers, we have grandchildren. They all like to play together. It's a social sport.
It is, and I think what's great about it is, well, other than I'm not very good at it, is that so many people can play. I'm just serving for the sake of moving things along here. Now, Danny, tell me a little bit about this event again. I want to show some images of the Hawaii Convention Center. You folks have been hard at work setting up these, and these courts are been invested by the Convention Center itself.
Yes, they're putting a lot of money in it. It's just like their volleyball tournaments, their basketball tournaments. Now we can have pickleball tournament.
I absolutely love it. So, by the way, registration I believe is closed now, but this is a great opportunity for spectators and pickleball enthusiasts because there's going to be vendors there.
Yes, there's going to be a vendor village, and it's free to enter and watch the play from Friday to Sunday.
Well, I absolutely love that. Why don't we get in here and we'll call that a day. We want to thank the Oahu Pickleball Association. Ladies, thank you so much for playing with us. We've got Mr. Dill and Danny. All the details, by the way, on that event. They're going to have more of them. This is the inaugural one at HawaiiNewsNow.com. All right.
Notice how Casey ended the game. I think it's because he kept messing up. He just wanted over. Those ladies, they were kicking him all over the court.
Yeah, not like we were keeping track how
Yeah,
many times you messed up, Case.
3.
And Mr. Dill, I love it. Mr. Dill.
That was fun. Thank you so much, Casey. Let's end today at a look at the White House. Don't forget, get your ballots in. Election day is coming up. And be sure to stay with Hawaii News Now for all of your election coverage. Have a great day, everyone.
Aloha.